Money, it makes the world go round. Vision, it creates opportunity. Data is the guide, but sometimes it's a bad navigator. What happens when we all become part of the data equation? Andrew Wilson is one of many in our industry that is trying to see where that equation goes. He's creating games for us as the CEO of Electronic Arts. Of course not directly, but he does decide with his board how the company is run, and he uses data to do it. As the leader of EA, Andrew created the vision for the company to innovate into the digital future. He and his team pore over industry data to give us what we want. He led FIFA to the top of the industry when he saw the trends in the sports gaming market, and he advanced EA's position in the mobile and DLC markets. But Wilson also had a large say in launching Titanfall 2 in between Battlefield 1 and the new COD, a great game that was doomed to fail because its competition in the small window it was released in, simply because he was looking at data. He gets paid a lot of money to make these decisions, $13 million per year to be exact. But Andrew isn't getting paid $13 million in cash. It's split up between salary, stock, and bonuses. Look carefully at his split. Stock and equity make up 81% of his total compensation, something sort of commonplace among big business. After all, over 60% of Robert Kotick's income at Activision comes from performance incentives. And this is the AAA curse, where leaders have control over the direction of the industry that are directly tied to their own personal income, making decisions for us based off big data. So it's in the best interest of the people making the biggest decisions to make sure that we're excited about their games and buy them. So how do you get people excited about your games? New releases, gaming conventions, and your neighborhood press outlet have most of the say in that. The cost of renting out the Los Angeles Convention Center alone for 3 days during E3 is enough to show us that this industry wants you to be excited for everything it has to offer. But we spread the hype too, as the public. In fact, we're the heart of it sometimes. We believe in the tabloids, the preview hype, and the big-time companies spitting out messages like IGN saying why you should be excited for Street Fighter V, or why you're not excited for Skyward Sword, and why you should be. There's something really wrong with these kind of messages. They're only there because they want us to get hyped about games. And we know each press outlet has a relationship with these publishers. Never burn down a bridge, because you might want to cross it again in the future. After all, no prime press outlet wants to get blacklisted like Jim Sterling did from Konami. That's just money down the toilet. Whether the press uses these relationships properly or not is not really the question. Bias, it exists in their opinions simply due to them having relationships, even if those thoughts become subconscious. The sheer fact that communication has been exchanged is enough to skew any opinion, one way or the other. The results trickle down upon the culture of hype and consumer expectations. Companies like EA and Ubisoft, where the well-being of its highest-paid employees are tied to the financial performance of its products, they've got to grab our attention. They have to hype, and they have to follow our purchases through the data. The displays at E3 and the whining and dining that goes behind the scenes with the big press outlets is an exercise to gain influence, to show their products in the best possible lights and create the hype that trickles down into the public. Watch Dogs is infamous for its graphical downgrade, among other games such as The Division, Dark Souls, and even The Witcher 3. But we didn't see them coming because the hype that was built up during these events blinds our expectations, and publishers take every advantage of it. But the data told those game makers that we'd still buy them no matter how they treated the end product. Ubisoft doesn't want to show us what to buy. Its open world template that it uses in every single open world game it makes is simply there because we keep asking for it, and you better believe the data sees that trend. The majority always covers up the minority with numbers in the end. The core of the problem lies with the relationship between the consumer and the publisher, one that is driven by data. Everything is tracked in our industry, from what you buy, how you buy it, to how many bullets you shoot of a gun in Call of Duty, or how many times you skip a line of dialogue in Dragon Age 2. They know how many people buy JRPGs versus modern military shooters, and they track the data and they see the trends over time. There are companies out there that are getting paid up the ass to provide real-time analytics to people like Andrew Wilson and his team so that he may make decisions on the directions his games take. Why do you think Squaresoft stopped making turn-based JRPGs? It's data and buyer information. Call of Duty is a jaded series, not because it's bad, but it's because people keep buying it and there's no logical reason to change it. Activision has no problem keeping the status quo because the data speaks for itself. Smart companies understand that data is only numbers on a screen though. It just shows trends. It may identify behavior, but it doesn't tell you why. The root cause often falls furthest from the tree after all. But smart companies also realize that none of that actually matters if people keep buying into the hype and purchase your games. Just as an example, Call of Duty sells, let's say, 5 million copies, so the data says people love it and they should build more. But the why may have nothing to do with consumer taste. Instead, it could be loyalty, hype, or just because people have been told it will be the next big game. The video game industry is being run on this idea of big data, to those that can influence the quality and direction of our games, like Andrew Wilson. He reads what we speak with our wallets. He thinks we want those big AAA games, those massive Fallout and Skyrim games, though they be at times never as deep as they are wide. Think about No Man's Sky being the shallowest puddle of the ocean we were promised. We just relished in the carefully created trailers and false promises of the hype led by the data that we gave them with our purchasing power. It's time for us to fight back against hype and wrong data and remind the leaders of our industry that we want honesty, ingenuity, and creativity. Let's be realistic. Don't be hopeful or skeptical. Let the game speak for itself when it releases. Ignore the Dragon Age 2 hype, the Peter Molyneux's, and the Old Republic's promises of being the next big MMO. Because when we pre-order games like No Man's Sky, we show up on that data graph as just another customer wanting more No Man's Sky, even though we got deceived purposefully. Make informed purchases based off objective information and critique with as little bias as possible. But whatever you do, don't pre-order video games. It only tells video game publishers that we'll buy whatever they throw at us with blind hope. Be the change in this industry and speak out with your wallet. Don't be just another number on the data equation.